Well, first of all, thanks everyone. I appreciate all of you who were a big part of putting together this debate. It was very professionally set up, and I want to thank Ben and Channel 10 and the dispatch. It was just phenomenal. And I also want to say that, to me, this is in many ways what American politics is all about. You cannot have too many debates, especially in a race as important as this U.S. Senate race. I think you all know that if it had been up to me, we'd be having at least 4 more, but I'm still pleased to have had the 3 that we did. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that if Congressman Portman wants to continue these debates anywhere, anytime, I'm ready, even as soon as tomorrow morning. 3 points I want to make and then answer your questions. Number one, I think there was a pattern in these 3 debates on an interesting issue. The record is very clear that Congressman Portman over the years has been a strong supporter of the privatization of Social Security, which means being able to put a portion of your Social Security savings into the stock market. Since the stock market had plummeted, no surprise he's been silent. But as far as I can tell, he still is for privatization. He just doesn't want to talk about it anymore. And that has been very clear in all 3 debates. Number 2 is that I have focused a lot on these 3 debates and will continue for the remainder of the campaign in talking about where he gets his money from. Because the fact that he is the #1 recipient in the nation of money from the insurance industry, the fact that he's the #1 Republican recipient in the nation from Washington lobbyists, that he's the #2 recipient in the nation from Wall Street, and then now he's receiving funds from American Crossroads and from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And as you know, there is some basis for saying that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is getting some funding from some foreign companies and foreign countries. And although it's not clear to what extent it's being used in these campaigns, one thing is clear. Congressman Portman should be the first to stand up and say that these organizations ought to be disclosing where they get their money from. There's no business having shadowy organizations on the left or the right funding campaigns and not knowing who they are. So with that, the only other thing I'll mention is that one of the things that Congressman Portman has mentioned throughout his whole career is how bipartisan he is. Tonight, I think you saw the real Rob Portman. Party line all the way, rubber stamp. The Dayton Daily News, when they endorsed me, interestingly compared him to 3 other Republicans: Bob Taft, George Voinovich, and Mike DeWine. And the Dayton Daily News was right in all 3 cases when they said that those were 3 Republicans who have frequently in their careers stood up to their own parties. There's 2 definitions of bipartisanship. There's reaching across party lines and putting a bill together. I've done that, so has he. But the other definition, to me, is far more important. That's standing up to the powerful interests who support you. Whether it's the banks, in his case, whether it's the insurance industry, in his case, or whether it's his own party, in his case. He is clearly going to go, if he is elected, and he won't be, but if he were to be elected, he would be a rubber stamp for Mitch McConnell. And I think he's proved that in all 3 debates. I will be a rubber stamp for no one because I'm going there to represent Ohio. End of speech. Answer questions.
3 weeks ago, do you feel like you left it all out there? There won't be any more debates. You said you'd take them on anytime, anywhere, sure. But there won't be any more. Did you leave it all out there and do what you needed to do tonight?
Well, first of all, I think that the very fact that Congressman Portman's not here, although perhaps he's still coming, is he? Okay, I mean, the fact that he's not here speaks volume, doesn't it? Congressman Portman didn't want any debates. We've had 3 debates, and this is the 2nd out of the 3 that he didn't even answer questions from all of you. And so, yeah, I may have put it all out there, but he certainly hasn't. He's obviously still doesn't want to answer a lot of questions. Otherwise, he'd be here. He would have been here in Toledo, and he would have been here tonight in Columbus. I don't think, honestly, it's disrespecting you. I think it's disrespecting the people of Ohio. With all due respect, it's nothing about the press corps. And it's nothing about me. It's about the people he wants to serve. Every opportunity, and you don't get many opportunities to meet with the press corps of this large in one setting. You're running for the United States Senate, for God's sakes. Of course you should come here and answer your questions. And so to me, you're going to see over the next 3 weeks a Lee Fisher who has been as passionate as I was the day I first was elected to public office. I haven't lost an ounce of intensity. I haven't lost an ounce of passion. In fact, I would argue actually it's deeper and it's greater than it's ever been before. And so, did I leave it all out? No, I've got some left for these next 3 weeks. In fact, I've got a lot left. But I feel very good about the opportunity to talk about the differences in the choice in this election in these last 3 debates.
Did the final big televised debate allow you to take more positions?
Well, I think that all 3 debates allowed me to show the choice between someone who is a long-time, 20-year Washington insider, who was not just a casual passerby, who wasn't just along for the ride during the Bush years. He was actually one of the chief architects of the trade and economic policies that primarily caused this recession. If you want to go to Wall Street, take a look how he handled subprime loans and said they were a small part of the economy, and how he continually supported legislation that would deregulate Wall Street. If you want to take a look at economic decisions, there's no evidence whatsoever that the tax cuts for the millionaires did anything to stimulate growth. All you have to do is look and see that the slowest growth decade in this since World War II is the decade that followed the Bush tax cuts. Now, if you want to talk trade, that's where I think it is, to me, more than any other issue. It's why a senator who's talking about giving tax breaks to large companies has no business being in the U.S. Senate. I think that the fact that Congressman Portman, as trade czar, had the trade deficit explode to, I think, $200 billion just with China alone when he was trade czar speaks volumes. He talked tonight about trade enforcement. Well, his trade enforcement was lax. You made it sound like he was going to challenge China to currency manipulation. When the manufacturers went to him as trade advisor, you know what he said? Not my job, that's the Department of Treasury. He had every opportunity to use the position as trade representative, as a bully pulpit, to call China out for keeping its currency artificially low and therefore being able to sell products in America at artificially low prices. That's manipulating currency. He didn't do it. He had every opportunity. The trade enforcement during the Clinton years was twice as aggressive, if not more, than it was during the Bush years, including the time that Rob Portman was trade advisor. I'm not sure on my numbers, but I think he had maybe a handful or less of trade enforcement actions when he was trade advisor. And during the Clinton years, there was an average, I think, of 11 a year. So his enforcement of the trade laws was lax at best.
Were jobs your top priority tonight? Everything, you took every opportunity to get back on the topic.
Jobs are always my top priority. They've been my top priority for the last 4 years. They're my top priority now. They'll be my top priority in the next 6 years in the U.S. Senate, and the next 6 years after that, and the next 6 years after that. This is not a poll-driven campaign. It doesn't matter to me what the polls say. What matters to me is what the people tell me as I travel the state. And I've said many times that although I'm proud of the work that Governor Strickland and I have done, neither of us are satisfied. The unemployment rate has gone down for the last 5 months, but if you're unemployed, it doesn't matter whether it's 10.1%. To you, unemployment's 100%. And so I want to make it clear that jobs is an issue that will be my #1 issue, not just for the next 3 weeks, but for the next 6+ years, because it's the issue that defines who we are as a country, and it defines who we are as a state.
I was a little unclear in your answer to the question about jobs going to other states.
Yeah.
You referred to the notices, I thought, that the companies give for major job disruptions. I thought they showed just the opposite, that most of those were going to other states.
Well, first of all, the data set that Congressman Portman used was just completely incomplete and was not meant to be used for the conclusion that he drew. That's #1. #2, when you look at trade adjustment assistance figures, these are figures that say, to what extent can you relate a job being lost because of a trade decision? And if you can say that that happened, you are eligible for trade adjustment assistance. If you look at those figures, my best guess will be that you'll find that there were far more jobs that left America that might have gone to another state. And number three, if you take a look at the data set of the multi-state competitions over the last 4 years, you will find that Ohio did extremely well when we competed with other states. And, you know, it's interesting to me that Congressman Portman talks about Indiana all the time. Well, Indiana's unemployment rate is higher, and their governor, Mitch Daniels, recently said that there are some things beyond the control of a governor. And he's right. This is a national recession. So we should be judged by how hard we worked and what we were able to do in a recession that Congressman Portman and his colleagues caused. In a sense, and I didn't use this in the debate, so I want to use it now, because I always wanted to use it in the debate and I forgot. So here it is, okay? And that is, he lit the match that set our national economic house on fire. And now he wants to blame those of us trying to put the fire out for having caused the fire, and he adds insult to injury by saying we're not putting the fire out fast enough. Congressman Portman is nothing short of an arsonist running for fire chief, because he actually lit the match, and now we're doing everything we can to put that fire out. How dare he blame those of us trying to solve the problems he caused for not solving them fast enough?
Lee, you said you have plenty of energy and passion. The question I have for you is, do you have the money? Because I don't see it on television very much, and energy and intelligence are one thing, but in today's world, money helps people get lucky.
Well, Ben, we have resources. We don't have the resources that Congressman Portman has, so no surprise, we're being strategic on when and how we use those resources. But we have them. We'll use them. You'll see how we use them in these final countdown days. But I've never said for one day that I can match him dollar for dollar. Not when he's getting money from the very people he stood up for his whole career, and they're now standing up for him. But Mike DeWine outraised Sherrod Brown by, I think, $5 million or more dollars. So we know that in Ohio, especially if you have a strong grassroots organization, as we do and as the party does, and if you have a compelling message, and we do, somebody who has been on the ground in Ohio as opposed to somebody who lost touch with Ohio and has been in D.C. for 20 years, we still believe our message, our grassroots organizations, and the resources we do have will be enough to win this race. It'll be close, but we'll win.
Do you have enough money to go on TV right now?
What's that?
Do you have enough money to go on TV right now?
We never discuss television strategy. I'm not going to start now. So all I can tell you is we'll have the resources to win. That I can tell you.
Okay. Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it.